Okay, we're back with Second Kings chapter 4, finishing off the last little bit. Miracles during a famine. Elisha now returned to Gilgal, but there was a famine in the land. One day, as the group of prophets were seated before him, he said to his servant, "Put on a large kettle and make some stew for these men." One of the young men went out into the field to gather vegetables and come back with a pocket full of wild gourds. He shredded them and put them into the kettle without realizing they were poisonous. But after the men had eaten a bite or two, they cried out, "Man of God, there's poison in this stew," so they would not eat it. Elisha said, "Bring me some flour." Then he threw it into the kettle and said, "Now it's all right. Go ahead and eat." And they did, and then it did not harm them. One day a man from Baal Shalisha brought the man of God a sack of fresh grain and 20 loaves of barley bread made from the first grain of his harvest. Elisha said, "Give it to the group of prophets so they can eat." "What?" his servant explained. "Feed 100 people with only this?" But Elisha repeated, "Give it to the group of prophets so they can eat, for the Lord says there will be plenty for all. There will even be some left over." And sure enough, there were plenty for all, and some left over just as the Lord had promised. Second Kings chapter 5. The healing of Naaman. The king of Aram had high admiration for Naaman, the commander of his army, because through him the Lord had given Aram great victories. But though Naaman was a mighty warrior, he suffered from leprosy. Now groups of Armenian raiders had invaded the land of Israel, and among their captives was a young girl who had been given to Naaman's wife as a maid. One day the girl said to her mistress, "I wish my master would go see the prophets in Samaria. He would heal him of his leprosy." So Naaman told the king what the young girl of Israel had said. "Go and visit the prophet," the king told him. "I will send a letter of introduction for you to carry to the king of Israel." So Naaman started out, taking as gifts 750 pounds of silver, 150 pounds of gold, and 10 cents of clothing. The letter to the king of Israel said, "With this letter I present my servant Naaman. I want you to heal him of his leprosy." When the king of Israel read it, he tore his clothes in dismay and said, "This man sends me a leper to heal? Am I God that I could kill and give life? He is only trying to find an excuse to invade us again." But when Elisha, the man of God, heard about the king's reaction, he sent this message to him: "Why are you so upset? Send Naaman to me, and he will learn that there is a true prophet here in Israel." So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and waited at the door of Elisha's house. But Elisha sent a messenger out to him with this message: "Go and wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan River. Then your skin will be restored and you will be healed of leprosy." But Naaman became angry and stalked away. "I thought you would surely come out to meet me," he said. I expected him to wave his hand over the leprosy and call on the name of the Lord as God and heal me. Aren't the Abana River and Pharpar River of Damascus between then all the rivers of Israel put together? Or Damascus better than all the rivers of Israel put together? Why wouldn't I wash in them and be healed?" So Naaman turned and went away in rage. But his officers just tried to reason with him and said, "Sir, if the prophet has told you to do some great thing, wouldn't you have done it? So you should certainly obey him when he says simply to go and wash and be cured." So Naaman went down to the Jordan River and dipped himself 7 times, as the man of God had instructed him, and his flesh became as healthy as a young child's, and he was healed. Then Naaman and his entire party went back to find the man of God. They stood before him, and Naaman said, "I know at last that there is no God in all the world except in Israel. Now please accept my gifts." But Elisha replied, "As surely as the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will not accept any gifts." And though Naaman urged him to take the gifts, Elisha refused. Then Naaman said, "All right, but please allow me to load 2 of my mules with earth from this place. I will take it back with me. From now on, I will never again offer any offerings or sacrifices to any other god except the Lord. However, may the Lord pardon me in this one thing. When my master the king goes into the temple of the god Rimmon to worship there and leans on my arm, may the Lord pardon me when I bow to." "Go in peace," Elisha said. So Naaman started home again. The greed of Gehazi. But Gehazi, Elisha's servant, said to himself, "My master should not have let this Aramean get away without accepting his gifts. As surely as the Lord lives, I will chase after him and get something from him." So Gehazi set after him. When Naaman saw him running after him, he climbed down the chariot and went to meet him. "Is everything all right?" Naaman asked. "Yes," Gehazi said, "but my master has sent me to tell you that 2 young prophets from the hill country of Ephraim has just arrived. He would like 75 pounds of silver and 2 sets of clothing to give to them." "By all means, take 150 pounds of silver," Naaman insisted. He gave him 2 sets of clothing, tied up the money in 2 bags, and set 2 of his servants to carry the gifts of Gehazi. But when they arrived at the hill, Gehazi took the gifts from the servants and sent them in back. Then he hid the gifts inside the house. When he went in to his master, Elisha asked him, "Where have you been, Gehazi?" "I haven't been anywhere," he replied. But Elisha asked him, "Don't you realize that I was there in spirit when Naaman stepped down from his chariot to meet you? Is this the time to receive money and clothing and olive groves and vineyards and sheep and oxen and servants? Because you have done this, you and your children's children will suffer from Naaman's leprosy forever." When Gehazi left the room, he was leprous. His skin was white as snow. Okay, and I'll be back tomorrow with chapter